want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. What Bible commentary or other resources would you recommend for more in-depth personal Bible study? Well, this is one of those questions that's kind of the Pandora's box. Once you open it up, you can get so deep into this that you can't find your way out. So here's kind of my initial thinking. If you are interested in biblical commentary, in other words, writings, audio files, maybe even videos that are outside of Scripture to give light of Scripture, one of the best things you can do is avoid just Googling or Binging or whatever search engine, Yahooing, whatever you may prefer. And here is why. Because those websites that come up are going to be the ones that are promoted the best, not necessarily the most biblically faithful. So again, I am not here to endorse anybody's respective ministry, area of study, etc. But I do want to help you out just to kind of give you some insight on how do you know I can kind of keep it within the parameters, so to speak, of biblical orthodoxy. I'm going to go old school and then bring it up to quote date. There is a website called ccel.org. It stands for Classic Christian Ethereal Learning. It is a website dedicated to works of Christian belief and doctrine that have surpassed the copyright dates. These are some of the older works of some of the great thinkers of the faith by years gone by. Now, this doesn't mean that everything you'll discover on that website is necessarily exactly in line with you and I believe, but at least it gives you some insight and some sources. Another one I'd like to give is a website. It's called Sonic Light. Sonic Light is a website dedicated to the teaching of Dr. Constable, who's a retired professor at Dallas Theological Seminary. And he has commentaries and detailed outlines on every one of the 66 books of the Bible. Why do I recommend his? It's very thorough. It's very easy to navigate. And to be quite honest with you, he just really kind of hits the middle of what you and I would call evangelical biblical orthodoxy. The last thing I would recommend to you is a website entitled Sermon Audio. Sermon Audio not only has, I think probably up to now, 2 million different sermons that you can listen to, Bible studies that you can watch by way of video, but there are also some PDF files. The reason I recommend Sermon Audio is that you can search by Scripture. So for example, if you wanted to do research on 2 Samuel chapter 7 verse 12, you can look up articles and sermons just on that one verse, or you can look at the entirety of 2 Samuel 7, etc. So again, this is not the most in-depth because I could have gone to what we call paper form commentaries, but that's going to be more your academic works, okay? The works that when you're doing in-depth Hebrew, Greek study, historical, critical methodology, textual criticism, etc. And by the time you start talking about that, we're talking of spending hundreds and thousands of dollars in resources that at the end of the day, I just don't know is necessarily as valuable to the majority of those that are watching today's video. So, few websites to recommend. I'm not endorsing them. I don't get paid by them. They're just sources that I use on a somewhat regular basis. If you have a question, send it to AskJeff.net and maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.